Welcome to our exciting journey. Today, we delve into the Crimean War, a tale filled with hidden stories. Imagine brave soldiers, groundbreaking technology, and events that forever changed nations and lives.
Indeed, this war was not just about battles. It transformed societies and reshaped power dynamics. Did you know that it led to the rise of modern nursing, thanks to Florence Nightingale's incredible work? We'll also dive into the complex geopolitical chess game where major powers had to balance acts on a global stage.
Stay with us as we uncover how this conflict marked a turning point in history. The echoes of the Crimean War still influence today's world in the most unexpected ways.
Absolutely. Let's dive into our first chapter and explore the events that shook the 19th century. Together, we'll uncover the fascinating stories and unexpected consequences of the Crimean War.
Have you ever wondered how 19th century Europe navigated the complex dance of power? The Crimean War was pivotal, showcasing a fierce struggle among empires. At its heart was the Ottoman Empire, often called the sick man of Europe, caught in a tumult of decline.
Indeed, and Russia saw this as an opportunity to expand its influence. Meanwhile, Britain and France were concerned. They aimed to preserve the balance of power in Europe. This led to the Eastern Question, where they tried to prevent Russian dominance in the region.
A significant driver of this conflict was the growing tension between France and Russia. It started with religious disputes in Palestine. France was backing Catholic rights, while Russia supported the Orthodox. The Ottoman Empire's refusal to yield on Russian demands sparked further confrontation.
Absolutely. Western powers feared Russian control over the Ottomans. The pivotal moment was the Sinop incident. The destruction of the Ottoman fleet by Russia caused public outcry, especially in Britain and France, catalyzing their entry into the war.
As we step into the battlefield, the Battle of Alma really stands out as the first major clash. It marked a defining moment as the Allies, consisting mainly of British and French forces, took on the Russians. The Allies managed to push the Russian forces back, demonstrating their tactical prowess early in the war. It was a psychological boost for the Allies, but highlighted the turbulent road ahead.
And it's interesting how the Russian attempt to counter at Balaclava and subsequently at Inkerman didn't pan out as planned. The Battle of Balaclava is particularly notable for the infamous Charge of the Light Brigade, a tragic yet courageous effort by the British cavalry that ended disastrously. Many historians cite it as a classic example of miscommunication leading to a major blunder. Meanwhile, the Battle of Inkerman ended in a stalemate, showing how fierce and undecided the war was turning out to be.
Exactly. These battles set the stage for the Siege of Sevastopol, a grueling confrontation where trench warfare became crucial. This siege put the city under immense pressure for nearly a year and showcased the advances in military technology, with both sides using railways and telegraphs for quicker troop movement and communication. It was a precursor to how wars would be fought in the future, with technology playing a critical part.
Yes, the siege was intense and wasn't confined to Crimea alone. It led to smaller conflicts spreading to regions like the Caucasus and even far-flung areas like the White Sea. These weren't just side skirmishes, but part of a broader strategy to stretch and challenge Russian resources. Interestingly, Sardinia-Piedmont's entry into the war in 1855 helped bolster the Allied forces, showing that backing the right horse in a conflict can shift strategic strengths.
Indeed, and the turning point was the French assault on the Malakoff redoubt. It was a tactical victory that finally broke the deadlock and forced the Russian hand towards considering peace. This assault highlighted the changing tides, with Russia facing the grim reality of prolonged isolation. It was becoming clear that the Allies were pushing a united front against them.
Right? And realizing the untenable situation, Russia decided to sue for peace. It's fascinating to consider how these battles and strategic decisions directly led to the end of the conflict and set the stage for the Treaty of Paris. The war, despite its devastation, became a blueprint of modern warfare with its lessons on tactics and strategy.
Let's talk about the remarkable social and technological impacts of the Crimean War. For one, the war was a real game-changer in terms of military technology. Railways brought troops and supplies to the front lines faster than ever before, transforming the nature of warfare. Then there's the telegraph, which allowed for instant communication over long distances, changing how information was relayed. And let's not forget the explosive shells that introduced a new level of destructiveness in battles.
Yes, and the way the war was documented was quite revolutionary, too. It was one of the first to be extensively covered by journalists, and war photography brought back vivid images to the public. This new form of reporting meant that people at home were closer to the reality of war than ever before. Florence Nightingale is another significant figure, as she redefined nursing during the Crimean War. Her approach to cleanliness and patient care laid the groundwork for modern nursing.
Florence Nightingale's impact was immense, and her work highlighted the dire need for medical and logistical reforms within the military. The British Army was criticized for its shortcomings in care and supplies, which spurred demands for reform. The public was shocked by reports of poor medical conditions and the logistical chaos, and this brought about a push for better management practices. The Crimean War truly exposed these flaws, leading to important discussions on improving military efficiency.
Exactly, and these changes weren't limited to just military fields. The war catalyzed broader social changes, especially in Russia. The defeat highlighted the need for internal reform, leading to the emancipation of the serfs in 1861. This was a seismic shift, as it started Russia on a path toward modernization and attempts to improve its social and economic structures. The realization that Russia needed to change was deeply linked to the experiences and lessons from the Crimean conflict.
In the early 19th century, the Ottoman Empire faced significant challenges, such as the Greek War of Independence that chipped away at its power. These events highlighted the cracks within the empire, military setbacks, and internal struggles that weakened its once firm grip over its territories.
Indeed, and these vulnerabilities opened the door to European powers with interest in the region. Britain, for instance, had substantial trade ties with the Ottomans. They couldn't just stand by and watch the empire crumble, as the region's stability was crucial for their economic objectives.
France also had its agenda, looking to expand its influence and ensure free trade in the region. They saw the Ottoman Empire as a flagging power where they could assert their presence, both politically and economically. These ambitions, though seemingly beneficial, often led to conflicts and complicated international relations.
Absolutely. The Ottomans found themselves in a tricky position, reliant on European powers like Britain and France for security and survival. This dependency was a double-edged sword, as their sovereignty was continually undermined by external interests and interventions.
Russia's ambitions were really something, weren't they? They wanted to gain access to the Mediterranean and protect Orthodox Christians in the Ottoman Empire. It's like they were playing a high-stakes game of chess, but it seems they might have underestimated the importance of British economic interests.
Indeed, and such oversight didn't exactly do them any favors. Their diplomatic efforts were clumsy, leading them straight into diplomatic isolation. It's fascinating how misjudgments and a lack of foresight can twist the course of history. The real shock was the harsh realities of the Russian military and administration. They found themselves facing massive issues with graft, corruption, and inefficiency.
The war really hit their pride hard, didn't it? Russia had considered itself a major power, and the defeat forced it to reconsider. The loss led to a renewed focus on internal reforms. It's as though the defeat became an eye-opener, highlighting the need to modernize every part of their society.
Exactly, and these reforms weren't small matters. Using the war as a stern teacher, Russia worked on doing away with serfdom and revamped their justice system and military service. The ripple effects even led to improving education in Russia. After the war, they even found common ground with France. A curious twist in the tale, don't you think? Just shows how war and peace can change the fate of nations.
Let's start with the Treaty of Paris in 1856, which brought an official end to the Crimean War. It was crafted to make lasting peace, but its clauses about the Black Sea, which led to its demilitarization, really hit Russia hard. It could no longer have military docks or naval forces there, weakening its stance in Europe considerably.
Exactly, and it wasn't just about military power for Russia. The demilitarization shook their ability to protect their southern coastline, showing how the treaty was a blow to Russian pride as well as power. In addition, the treaty granted more autonomy to the Danubian principalities, shifting influence in that region away from Russia and prompting fears of future instability in Europe.
What's also fascinating is how this treaty, despite being a peace agreement, set the stage for future conflicts. Although it temporarily kept the peace, it left many unresolved issues, ensuring that both regional and international tensions would later resurface. The limitations on Russia's naval presence in the Black Sea were bound to cause friction, potentially leading to future military strategies and alliances being redrawn.
Yes, and the internal impact on Russia was profound. The realities of the war forced them to recognize their need for reform. This catalyzed the Great Reforms, changing their military service, justice system, and even leading to the emancipation of the serfs. All these changes not only reshaped Russia, but also had significant implications for European geopolitics, showing how war pressures can lead to sweeping societal shifts.
We've explored the depths of the Crimean War, from the gripping geopolitical tensions to the incredible innovations and reforms it spurred. This conflict truly altered the course of modern history, influencing nations and sparking social change that resonated far beyond its time. The bravery and resilience demonstrated on all sides remind us of the human spirit's capacity to endure and adapt. Remember, the stories of the past hold lessons for us all, offering insights and inspiration.
Join us on our next journey through history's captivating tales. We invite you to let us know which biography or historical event you'd like us to cover in our upcoming episodes. Your insights and interests matter to us, so feel free to share them. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our podcast to ensure you never miss an episode filled with learning and discovery. Thank you for listening and being part of this adventure. Until next time.